individuals as having an aversion to disorder. They believe that we are all continually trying to sort things out, to find clues and patterns amid our impressions that will help us make sense of the world around us. When we encounter something new, say a strange sound in the night, we immediately attempt to fit it into the patterns or structures we already possess. Now to the top of 297. Don't worry, that's the midnight whistle of the old 98 heading down to New Orleans. But sometimes we encounter the new information that leads or forces us to realize that our knowledge base is currently constructed is incorrect or outdated. We may respond in a number of ways. We may search for new input from our senses, seeking either to reconstruct the knowledge base or develop different patterns and structures so that the information fits. In some instances, we may be so convinced of our knowledge base that we refuse to make allowances for new information. Students follow the same patterns as they try to make sense of new information they encounter in school. Cognitive psychologists also suggest that we organize our knowledge in ways that allow us easy access to knowledge we use regularly. These cognitive structures, which are called shimas or shimata, I hope I'm saying that correctly, change constantly as new information is taken in. Hypotheses are developed and theories are tested. These processes of hypothesis development and testing can be done independently or interaction with others. Thus, real learning for constructivists involves moving from the trivial pursuit or jeopardy type of the factual or declarative knowledge to applicable knowledge. In other words, from knowing what to knowing how. To achieve this transformation, learners must develop cognitive learning strategies for particular kinds of learning tasks. That is, they must learn how to think through or go about solving problems. One teacher describes how she puts her cognitive philosophy into action. We're going to then flip over to the top of 298. At this point, you may be a little confused and possibly discouraged by all of this heavy vocabulary and lofty thought. To expect to be able to understand and evaluate critically every aspect of philosophy, and to expect yourself to each part of philosophy is to expect of yourself what few professional philosophers are able to do. What you have just finished reading is a précis of some of the major ideas of Western civilization. Some of these ideas have been around for centuries, and some are the fruits of thinkers who are still with us. Then we're going to flip over to 300, and it says, how can you use the summary in Table 9.1 to help you develop your own philosophy of education? First, recognize that selecting the philosophy by which you will live by and which you will guide your professional activities. Make more investment of time, thought, and energy in reading the short chapters. Second, realize that you have already begun to uncover your philosophy of education. You started when you filled out the philosophy of education self-inventory. You can further your self-understanding by following the suggestions in the up-close feature entitled Identifying Your Own Philosophy. Learning's third, realize that developing and refining one's philosophy of education is a lifelong endeavor, and commit yourself to making the journey. We're then going to go over to page 301. Some teachers, like the teacher philosophers discussed in this chapter, settle on one philosophical view, and that is the view that serves the structure of all of their work. Other teachers lean strongly toward a particular philosophy, even if they may not be fully conscious of their position and able to give a proper philosophical label. Typically, they have a particular view of learners, including how learners should be approached and what is the most worth knowing. Of course, a few teachers are philosophical pursuits. Some teachers, recognizing that they draw ideas from various philosophies, label themselves eclectics. But what does it really mean to be an eclectic teacher in contemporary education? Eclectism embodies the idea that the truth can be found anywhere, and therefore people should select a various doctrine, systems, and sources. Eclectic teachers select what they believe to be the most attractive features of several philosophies. For example, a teacher might take a romanticism and innate curiosity of learners, and fourth, essentialism, a curricular viewpoint dominated by the criterion of usefulness. Eclecticism is quite popular, but often for the wrong reasons. It sometimes appears as the easy way out of philosophical uncertainty, just taking what you please from the philosophical cafeteria of ideas. One problem with the approach is that probability of inconsistency to take one's view of society from the romantic, who gives primacy, I think, to individual freedom and one's teaching methodology from the progressive, and stresses group membership and democratic process, is liable to make everyone confused. Selecting eclecticism must not be an excuse for lazy thinking. Despite this warning, most teachers feel quite free and justified in borrowing teaching methodologies and strategies and associated very philosophies of education. And ignorant perennialist teacher may choose to involve his or her 6th grade students in a hands-on project that involves constructing a large tropical map of Odysseus' 10-year journey to his home after the fall of Troy. Conversely, a free-spirited romantic teacher may insist that each student memorize and be able to recite 50 lines of the Odyssey. Although this type of eclecticism may in narrow sense seem philosophically inconsistent, and its heart is in the recognition that no philosophy of education is able to detect the ideal methodology or learning strategies of all situations or all students trying to learn all subject matter. Related to this notion is the growing realization that different students possess a great range of learning styles, and that works with one student what works with one student may flop with another. In some, eclecticism can be a serious philosophical position, and eclecticism is a section of teaching strategy is quite justified. But to reinforce our earlier statement, the choices to be eclectic should not be a substitute for sloppy thought. We are not suggesting that you sit yourself down with a cup of coffee, think through all these issues, and come up with a tight set of philosophical answers that will last you the rest of your lifetime. Rather, we hope that you have focused or refocused we're going to flip the page to 302, your attention on some of life's most critical questions and on some issues that reside at the very core of teaching. One purpose of the general education component of teaching education programs is to provide a chance for future teachers to think through these fundamental questions of human nature and existence. A primary purpose of the college curriculum is to sorry, I lost my place again. Primary purpose of the college curriculum is to present students with a wide range of society's best thinkers and their attempts to understand their own existence. Of course, the infamous college bull session may be where the real philosophical inquiry occurs. These debates are frequently thinly veiled discussions of what really counts in life and what one should try to do with one's life. In effect, then, both the formal practice of college and curriculum and the informal opportunities to meet, talk, and test your ideas with a variety of people should help you discover where you stand on some of these essential human questions. Alright, and that is the end of chapter 9. Let's see here. We'll flip the page, chapter 10. And there we are.